This video is going to be about the 30-day fructose detox. Excess fructose can cause a number of different health problems, including hypertension, obesity, increased uric acid, which can lead to gout, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, insulin resistance, elevated fasting blood sugar, increased aging, obesity, especially abdominal fat, high triglycerides, cavities and dental problems, kidney disease, diabetes, leptin resistance, cardiovascular disease, low HDL, joint damage, and GI distress. Doing a 30-day fructose detox where you drastically reduce the amount of fructose you consume can help start to reverse some of these problems. It can start to help improve symptoms of metabolic syndrome. It can curb cravings, especially for sweets, if that's something you overeat on. It's a good way to kickstart weight loss. It's helpful in resetting your palate and your relationship with food. The benefits are that this is non-restrictive with macronutrients. You're not cutting down drastically on fats or carbohydrates. This is a useful tool to have. It's empowering if you have struggled with weight loss for a long period of time. Another benefit is that it is possible to eat out when you're doing this. Some diets can be restrictive, and finding things to eat when you go out can be a problem, such as if you're doing low carb, you're somewhat limited in your choices, but these you can usually find a starch and a protein with some vegetables. And once you finish this detox, you can go back to consuming fructose, but at a more moderate amount, and still continue to see benefits. What are the foods to avoid? These are the list. This is the list. For sweeteners, it's going to be sugar, honey, high fructose corn syrup, agave, maple syrup, or any products containing these. And the next is fruit. Now, this is not to say that fruit is unhealthy, but during this period, you want to eliminate any high sources of fructose, which fruit are going to be containing a fair amount. So you're going to eliminate all fruit except for lemons and limes. Next is beverages, anything sweetened with the mentioned sweeteners like soda, juice, sweetened coffee, tea, beer, sweet drinks. Next is meats. The two you're going to avoid is organ meats and shellfish, and this is for their purine content, which can have similar effects of fructose. And then we have grains. You want to avoid wheat and rye, and also any super high glycemic grains. For vegetables, you want to avoid beets, sweet onion, sweet corn, peas, sweet peppers. Sauces, any sweet sauce like barbecue, teriyaki, ketchup. There are a few others. Just look for any added sugars or the sugar content. And then for artificial sweeteners, you want to avoid maltitol, mannitol, sorbitol, and isomalt. And dairy, any dairy that has added sugar, like yogurt usually does. Now for the foods to consume for the 30 days. For the approved sweeteners, you have xylitol, erythritol, stevia, sucralose, saccharin. Aspartame does not contain fructose or cannot be converted to fructose, but I still avoided that. And then for the fruits, like I said, the only ones you consume are lemons and limes. Beverages, water is number one. Then you have unsweetened drinks like bubbly milk. Aim for lower fat milk. Diet drinks with the approved sweeteners. Then for meats, all meats except for the two listed. You can have red meat, fowl, fish. And grains, all other grains besides wheat and rye, but you want to aim for lower glycemic grains. Then vegetables, all other vegetables except for the ones listed on the no list. And then sauces, there's quite a few not sweet sauces. You have soy sauce, mayo, mustard, vinegar, lemon. Just check the label for any added sugar. Then dairy, any unsweetened dairy product, but you want to aim for lower fats. And then some other items are eggs, olive oil, avocado oil, beans, bean pasta, nuts. Some things to look out for when doing this is your cravings for sweets will usually be worse during the first week, and then they tend to get a lot easier to deal with after that. So at the beginning, this is when diet products can be the most helpful. You should try not to rely on these throughout the whole detox, but at that first stage, it can be very helpful. You want to try to find healthy ways to distract yourself. A lot of times people use sugar or sweets as sort of a coping product to deal with stress. So you want to try to replace that with something like reading, watching a movie, socializing, walks. Try to fill in those gaps with some other form of dealing with stress. Next is you want to make sure you're consuming vitamin C when you take out fruits. A lot of times that's people's main source of vitamin C. There are quite a few vegetables that have a good amount of vitamin C. Lemons and limes are good to consume, and if you are not getting enough from that, then a vitamin C supplement can be helpful. 250 milligrams to 500 milligrams, nothing too high. It's helpful to experiment with different recipes from the foods list. I found myself making burgers with ground chicken, oats, and beans, sort of into these patties, and just trying different things. Some books that are helpful when you're doing this are Fructose Exposed by Frank Lyons and The Sugar Fix by Richard Johnson. And another helpful thing to do is to have some sort of metrics you track so you can see the before and afters. Glucose reader to do your fasting blood sugar, blood pressure monitor, a scale and a tape measure at the beginning, and you can do that throughout. At the very minimum, I would do a scale to check the weight, and then tape measure for your waist circumference. And then once you finish the 30 days, you can go back to consuming fructose, but I would aim for consuming 20 grams or less, which, depending on the fruit, is going to be 3 to 4 pieces of fruit a day. And you want to consume your fructose in the form of whole fruit, not in added sugar or anything like that. So give this a try. And if you have any questions or any experiences with this, leave a comment down below.